Do you know how to adjust your doubling strategy in a 7 point match as compared to a money game? It's very important because it can be very different. If not, keep watching because in this video, my good friend and backgammon grandmaster from the UK, Simon Barget, joins me to discuss the new book he just published about the 7 point match, focusing on cube action adjustments. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, what you'd like to see in future videos, and I'll work on it. If you love backgammon, you can become a member of this channel, giving you exclusive access to the most popular videos. My book, Backgammon Backgame Strategies, is available. There's a link in the description where you can get it. And if you're interested in lessons, please contact me via email. My email address is also in the description. Again, in this video, it's my great pleasure to welcome back my good friend, Backgammon Grandmaster from the UK, Simon Barget. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm a little bit hot.
Oh yeah, there's a heat wave in the UK, right?
Yeah, it's usually not this hot, but it's okay. I'll survive.
In the summertime, it gets warm. Is it also humid or is it dry?
It's not humid.
Oh,
It's about 30 degrees. And before I joined the video chat, I had my top off.
oh, okay. So you put it on for the video.
Yeah.
I've seen these videos where people play matches without a shirt on.
Oh, I've got to have a look at those.
Yeah.
That sounds fabulous.
I've lived in places where it gets hot and it in certain places it's humid and certain places it's dry. And it's a little harder when it's humid and hot.
Yeah, yeah, like in Thailand, for
Thailand.
example.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I've never been to Thailand, but okay.
yeah.
Very good, very good. So any recent backgammon tournaments or events that you've been to?
Not really. I would like to go to the World Championships, but I'm probably not going to go. Um, I play every Tuesday in a chouette for small stakes. I think you probably have a similar kind of thing going on where that you play in. And I enjoy that. And then I play on Backgammon Galaxy, 7 pointers, of course, and I teach. And I also play, like I'm addicted to XG Mobile on my phone.
Oh, you
So
you
I can never do one thing at once. I have to be on my phone playing. Yeah.
I I think I have the mobile app, but I guess maybe I'm on my computer all day anyway, so for one, I don't need it, but I think like the desktop version is much more powerful. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
use that almost exclusively myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I just use the mobile because it's a bit more tactile. It's like easier to pick up your phone and press the screen. There's something immediate about being able to press the screen.
That's
So
why people,
if I want to play on big XG, I have to actually get up from the couch and sit on the chair, and
yeah, my couch is my
I have to open the app. I have to wait.
my couch is my computer chair, so it's always open.
Right.
But I think people like this the idea of having things on their phone because whenever they're doing anything, they could just sit down and play, whether it's on XG Mobile or Backgammon Galaxy or anything like that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think people told me that they sometimes like they can't see the XG analysis in some of my streams, and then they said, well, because I'm watching it on my phone, and I never thought that people would watch YouTube videos on their phone.
Yeah,
Even though I've watched, yeah, so people do stuff on their phone, and never really struck me that it's just, I think it's more immediate, and easier
yeah,
more accessible.
right, right. Well, wonderful. I'm very happy to have you to discuss your new book on the 7 point match. The first thing I want to do is express my gratitude and appreciation for giving me the privilege of reviewing it in advance. So thank you for that.
Not at all. I mean, I think, in fact, that's the wrong way around, and I should be expressing, my gratitude for I don't know if viewers might. You actually um, came to me and said, do you want me to do a stream?" I didn't actually contact Alex, and I think that's incredible and unselfish. Um, and yeah, to be honest, I'm not even sure why you're doing it. You're just obviously a gentleman and a nice person. But it's when you put a book out, as you know, you need to maybe talk about it, not too much, because that will have the opposite effect. But I'm really appreciative that you're doing this. I'm just a little bit hot and so, but everything's good.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's a pleasure for me. Thank you very much for your kind comments. There are a lot of people who have backgammon YouTube channels like you and me and many others, and each person has like a slightly different focus. For me, I enjoy playing, I enjoy all sorts of things, I enjoy promoting basically anything backgammon related. So I'm happy to promote your book, and there are other books that are coming out. It's a lot of fun. I think it just promotes the game in general. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so the first thing is writing a book is not easy. It's a tremendous accomplishment. So I want to congratulate you on that. And what made you decide to write a book in the first place?
Um, I think round about. I've just remembered now. It wasn't as far back as I thought. I think it started around um, April 2022. That was when the UBC in Istanbul was, and I was there. And I used to use this database to categorize my errors. And then somehow I I don't know, I had a position and I decided I wanted to know what the difference in the cube action would be, not just at one score, but at maybe two or three. And then I opened up an Excel spreadsheet and I put in, I think I had four away, two away as the top score. And I put in next to four away, two away, the equity that is in the position after the double of doubles and after the person takes. And I had three other scores, and then I wanted to know what that equity was at every single score. So it was purely like a, a self-driven kind of um, not a flight of fancy. I can't think of the expression. It was just like to just cover every single possibility. Um, and then once I did one position, I think it was a kind of blitz position, or it was a blitz position, and I clicked on order in these cells, so I could make sure that I saw the highest equity to the lowest equity, so the scores would be ordered from top to bottom. And then I decided to do that for another position. And then eventually I had this spreadsheet on I've got this big, in fact, I've got two screens. They're the big iMacs. And I had this spreadsheet on the screen, and went all the way from left to right with like five or six positions, all color coded with all the scores on. And it's a couple of times I sent the spreadsheet to people, and they were like, "What the hell is this?" They couldn't make any sense of it. And I was like, "What? Really? I thought it's really helpful." And I started to explain, well, this is what the equity is at this score, and this is what it is at another score. And people kind of glazed over. And then I realized maybe it was more of a personal odyssey or something that would be of personal interest. And then I stopped with it and didn't think about writing a book. And then I can't remember. At some point, I started actually writing the book and trying to say what the spreadsheet or what the different columns and rows meant on all the colors. And then that evolved into what I called the activity spectrum. So I tried to simplify it a bit and not have every single score in one go. Um, and then eventually, sadly, he couldn't complete the book with me, but around, I can't remember exactly when, April, Seb Wilkinson, I said to him, "Do you want to help me finish the book?" Because I was having trouble finishing it. And he said, "No problem." So we started working on it together. Um, and he had a lot of material, and I kind of put some of it in the book, but then ended up taking some of it out. But he was really, really helpful in writing the book. So it was kind of with his help that it actually got through to a point where I thought I could publish it. Um, yeah, don't let me ramble. Is that
Yeah, that's good.
an
I mean,
answer to the question?
yeah, he actually helped me with my book too, and it's great in the backgammon community. There are a lot of people that are willing to help each other out, and I think that's fantastic. Uh, so I think, when someone writes a book, in particular about backgammon or maybe about anything, oftentimes the person that learns the most is the author. And it was because of some sort of curiosity, like you mentioned, it's like how does the equity change from one score to another? So, when you were doing your research, I'm sure, you looked at everything and you learned probably the most by writing it than a reader will from reading it. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
so I think this is a very important topic, and we'll get to it in a moment because you know in a match as compared to a money game, the cube action, checker play as well, but particularly cube action can vary significantly based on the score. Um, and a lot of people don't know that. And when you publish a book, you want people to read it. So, who is your target audience in terms of this book?
Right. So exactly what I was just thinking. Um, so when you say a lot of people don't know that, I had an inkling that most people know about some of the scores in a 7 point match, like four away, two away. I think people know, and then maybe four away, three away. But then, and one of the reasons I carried on with this spreadsheet is because I thought, oh, well, I want to be cleverer and more clued up than the average guy who doesn't know what to do at six away, five away. And I wanted to know the exact difference in equity in in um, in each position. So my target audience was initially, I guess, myself. Like I think, which is what you're kind of saying. And then I realized, as I wrote the book and I had feedback, that it made no sense to anyone. So I had to spend a lot of time, and I hope I've done it, a decent job trying to make what was good for me intelligible to others. Now, I still think that some people will find it tricky, especially if they're not good with looking at three-digit numbers. So equity is usually expressed in, I think, two digits after the decimal point in XG, but you can change that to three. But I think even sometimes when you have a number on a screen plus 1.29, quite a few pretty strong players maybe don't really get along so well with those numbers. Um, that's consistent with some of the feedback I had. So I wanted to try and bring those people in that weren't so happy with the numbers and try and show them where the numbers intersect with this color coded activity. So ideally, I'm trying to aim for people that already know about the score, but try to get them to see what they're missing. And it's kind of fun, you know. And we'll talk about how I broadly divide the this huge kind of arbitrary categorization of non-gammonish and gammonish.
Yeah, that's
So
that.
So I distinguish every position. I ask people to decide first and foremost whether they believe the position that they're dealing with is non-gammonish or gammonish. Um, so I'm hoping to bring people in, not just the people that are already like looking maybe at Anki cards, or people like you who already have the most insanely ornate heat map that I think a lot of people don't really have the stomach for. You know, not just I love it. I personally love it, but I think a lot of people don't get along with the representation of even colors and numbers together and things like that. They want it to be simpler. So I'm hoping that a few people will, of course, buy the book to see, and then not just buy it, but actually feel that they can just about um, gain knowledge and understanding about the scores in a 7 point match.
Yes, I think like numbers and color coding can be intimidating. Um, and one of the things I found maybe like 30 years or 40 years ago, the majority of the play was money play. And now, within the last 5, 10, maybe 20 years, it's become more of a focus or more of an emphasis on match play. There's a lot of tournaments. Also, more recently, there's a lot of social play with people that are just playing for fun. So a lot of those people like have no idea about like cube handling in general, let alone for a match. So I think it's great for those kinds of people that want to improve. And I think, one of the things that I've done with this channel is I've had the opportunity to observe top players such as yourself and others. And one of the observations that I felt was key for me is like when I hear these players' thought processes, uh, they're thinking about what's going to happen on the next roll and what's going to happen on the roll after that. So they're always thinking about the upcoming sequence. So, I came up with this sentence that's basically true for everything. The correct play is always dependent on the likelihood of future outcomes. So that's what they're thinking. And then I created this whole system, with the help of others to help me look at the upcoming roles. And I feel like that's helped me improve, at least from where I am. But, if you're a beginner, you're not going to start doing that. But I think this is fantastic. And a lot of people are, playing matches nowadays. So
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
to explain to people like what is the difference because your book primarily talks about cube action, right?
Um, I would say almost only.
Right. So
Yeah.
what are the differences in terms of cube action between a money game and a match? Where in a money game every point is the same, but in a match your goal is to reach a certain score. So for the people that are
Right.
not familiar with it, why is there a difference? And what
Right. I hope I'm qualified to even answer, and I understand the differences. I'm not sure I fully do, but broadly in a money game, um, there's never a score. So you're playing your friend and you're winning 11 points. You've played for an hour and a half and you're happy. In theory, at least, there should never be a bias to the fact that you're winning 11 points. You shouldn't tighten up. Or maybe you shouldn't get exuberant and think, oh, well, he's going to try and make up the score deficit. But in practical terms, maybe you would do that. However, we're talking about theory. In match play, if you're 7-0 up to 11, let's say, then very simplistically, you're already doing so well in the match that you don't need to make much of an effort. Effort's not the right word. You don't need to place too much value on the winning the extra 4 points that would win you get you to 11 points and win you the match. convert also, not sorry, but the other thing to say is that your opponent has the opposite um, motivation. And because of that, you don't want to give your opponent the opportunity to close the gap. You're very happy to continue leading the match with by 7 points. And if you do so, you'll cross the finishing line first. Um, so that idea is always prominent in a match. It goes hand in hand with a an idea of efficiency, and it's not an exact concept, I don't think, but what people mean when they talk about, oh, maybe it is actually efficiency is probably about making sure that the points that you win in a match are valuable compared to the risk that you're taking in trying to win them. So what I mean by that is when you double, you're incurring a risk because you're turning the cube to 2, meaning that your opponent can also win extra points. So when we talk about efficiency, we're always asking ourselves whether or not the points that you are proposing to win, let's say by doubling, will be effective for you and profitable, or in other words, will doubling make it more profitable for you? And is the risk acceptable or bearable for you at that particular point in the match? So that's what match scores do. They require you to really understand whether or not it's worth you increasing risk to obtain a reward, or whether or not the calculation makes you want to not incur that risk. And like I said, generally when you're leading in a match, you should be prudent, but not always.
Right, right. I think that's great. Backgammon, like in life, is all about risk and rewards, not just in terms of checker play, but also in cube action. And then the score makes it that gives adds another level or another dimension to that risk reward concept. And I really like the analogy that you gave. In a money game, you're just basically trying to maximize the number of points that you play, and there's not really a goal. You just play until you're tired or you decide to stop the session. But in a match, there's actually a finish line, like in a race. So you're trying to think about getting to that finish line. And one of the important things is basically how far you are away from that finish line. That's more important than how far you've actually run in the race. So we're going to have viewers of different levels watching this. Can you please explain the difference between an absolute score in a match and an away score and why that's important?
Yeah, that's a very good point for the question. So, what's very tricky for people who are becoming a bit more familiar with backgammon is expressing how we express the score. So, normally when we start, people will realize, oh, you can play with the doubling cube, and then they realize that you can play up to 5 points, let's say. So, the first person to get to 5 points wins. But then when we get really obsessive with backgammon and we're playing that match, instead of when I get to 3-0, I'm beating you 3-0, of course, that's likely to happen. So I'm 3-0 up. I would say to you, Alex, I'm 2 away, 5 away. And what that means is that I'm 2 away from getting to 5 because I still need 2 points. And because you're 0, you're 5 away. And so it takes a little bit of persistence to start thinking of the scores in terms of what you need. And what you need is synonymous with away. We call them away scores. So if I'm leading 3-0 to 5, I need 2, I'm 2 away. You need 5, you're 5 away. So the smaller number is better because it means I need fewer points to win the match. And so all of these match scores will be expressed like that. And then we abbreviate the word away to A. So when people might look at something that says 6A, 2A, that means 6 away, 2 away.
That's great. And the terminology convention is such that your score is always first, followed by your opponent. So 6 away, 2 away means you're 6 away and the opponent is 2 away.
Yeah, that's right.
Very good. That was very helpful. Now, in terms of doubling decisions, in a money game, you can double, and there are different types of positions. However, in a match, it's perhaps more important to determine whether the position is gammonish or non-gammonish. So let's start by explaining to the viewers what is a gammonish position and what is a non-gammonish position, and then we can discuss why that's important in a match.
Can I talk about them in reverse order?
Yeah, of course.
So I want people, and I might explain later if I remember, to put more emphasis on non-gammonish for the moment. I'll explain why now. Why? Because we're used to putting too much emphasis on gammonish positions and generally thinking in terms of positions being gammonish, I think at least. So I'm going to start off with non-gammonish positions. What was the question again?
So, well, for the viewers, what is the difference between a gammonish position and a non-gammonish position? That's
Right, right. So a non-gammonish position, so basically a gammon is when you have at least you haven't taken off any checkers and your opponent's taken off all of his. So it would probably be easier to illustrate this with a board, but when we get to a certain level in backgammon, we tend to know what types of position will tend to lead to losing a gammon and what types of position will tend to lead to not losing a gammon. So non-gammonish positions tend to be holding games, races. There will be certain characteristics of those positions. So there won't be checkers on the bar. The side being doubled will probably have an anchor or more than one. He probably won't have that many checkers back because having checkers back can lead to losing a gammon. Broadly, in a non-gammonish position, I would say the most important factor is probably having an anchor. But as I say that, I realize that actually that's not true. The most important feature is having no contact. So if you have a position where each side has extricated themselves from the other, then it would be very difficult for either side to win a gammon because neither side will have their checkers on the bar and they'll both be able to move freely at every roll. And that will usually result in a gammonless win. So races are a classic non-gammonish position. And then maybe games with anchors, high anchors. I think that's probably the main features of non-gammonish positions.
okay. And then gammonish positions.
And then gammonish positions are, I suppose, the opposite, where a gammonish position will usually might be one where if you're being doubled, you don't have an anchor, and eventually, or there might be a chance of you being closed out. So gammonish positions probably are characterized mostly by this tendency that if you're doubled, you might be closed out. And being closed out is very bad because it means you can't move and you're frozen. And if you have any checkers that are outside the home board, then your opponent can be likely to have borne off enough checkers before you get to bring all your checkers round and take one off. I think, I don't want to be too. I think most people have a very decent intuitive understanding of what a non-gammonish and a gammonish position are, but I did want to state, for the sake of completeness in the book, how we characterize a non-gammonish or a gammonish position. And clearly it's an extremely nebulous question. It's difficult. It's very difficult to say exactly when a position is gammonish or non-gammonish. It could certainly be both in some ways. And what we're really looking at is a number that the computer gives us, and we could say that over a certain percentage, the position will be gammonish, and under it won't be.
Right, right. That's a great explanation to the viewers. But I guess that it is true there's always a spectrum, but I think like one of the first things you want to think about as you discuss in the book is basically, are there a lot of gammons or are there very few gammons? That's like the first thing you want to think about. So that's great. We'll take a look at some of the positions. So why is it important to understand whether a position is gammonish versus non-gammonish when you're considering cube actions in a match?
So without having I wonder whether it would be good to bring in the two activity spectrums. Oh, but okay, maybe not.
We can discuss it when we get there. That's fine.
Okay. So what we see in a match to 7 is that the prominent factor of losing a gammon on a 2 cube, and not just a 7-point match. In tournament backgammon, even if we play up to 17, it's bad to lose 4 points. And so, excuse me, the great advantage of a non-gammonish position is that when doubled, the side being doubled will not lose more than 2 points. So his loss is capped to 2. And conversely, in a gammonish position, that's not the case. He could well end up losing 4. And the difference between losing 2 and 4 when you're only playing to 7 is enormous. I'm not good with fractions and what the percentage of whatever 14%, a 7th is like 14% or something. So,
so 4 points.
Anyway,
4 points is more than half of 7, right?
4 points is 56%. I'm not talking about match equities, of course not, but I'm just saying on a common sense level, for being down immediately 4-0 to 7 after the first game is really, really bad. And so with a non-gammonish position, that can't happen. And the consequence of that is that whether or not you can take a cube is totally changed by the fact that your loss is limited to 2. And of course, the same goes for even if the cube's in the center. It's not going to be as drastic, but you can only lose a point rather than 2. And that's a big difference. It's still a big difference. To lose 1 rather than 2 is an advantage.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. That was a great explanation. Next, let's take a look at the book itself. So this is the cover of the book. It's beautiful. I think it's great. How did you come up with the idea of this cover?
I think Sebastian came up with this, but I can't remember exactly. So he just off the cuff suggested. I said to him, I think that ChatGPT can probably generate a cover, and so he just wrote something in WhatsApp to me. Like, try this. And I put what he wrote into ChatGPT, which said, make 4 men holding a glowing cube, standing in an apocalyptic environment, and have their faces express terror um, or discomfort or shock, and this is what ChatGPT came up with. Eventually, actually, it took like it kept changing the image. It kept getting better. I must have generated like 50, 60 different images using the same instructions. And with the ChatGPT, it always gets it wrong, and you can't ask it to correct itself because every time you do, it then throws something else out of joint. So you need to restart the image generation every time. And eventually it came out with this, which I'm kind of happy with. But of course, the bibs are still showing only two different scores, which is not what I wanted. I don't think the numbers aren't right on the cube. I don't think there's lots of things that aren't right with it.
But I think it's beautiful because, you know, they say don't judge a book by its cover, but this cover is as beautiful as the information inside it is valuable.
There's no doubt that the cover is way, way better than anything you'll find in the book. But it's funny though that some people don't like the cover at all. So it's interesting that some people are very uh, praiseworthy about the cover, and I think it's genuine. And then yet some people actually genuinely think that the cover's terrible. Like they don't like some. So James said to me he doesn't like the looks on the. If you look at the third character along, kind of even the fourth, they just look a bit trog troglodytish or primeval. I'm not sure what the right word is, but yeah. So some people, it's funny, some people don't like it, but I thought, wow, what an easy, cheap way to get a cover. I didn't spend any, I think I spent 1 month subscription on ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's great. Most of the books, like when I did my book, basically I took a photograph of my board and that was the cover. So this is great. It's very beautiful. I
Well,
can't.
yeah, ChatGPT has come along a lot. I don't think you would have been able to use it for your cover because I think you brought your book out, what, a year and a half or 2 years ago,
That's
something like
2 years
that.
ago now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about the content. So this is the color spectrum that you created. We'll start with non-gammonish positions. So for the viewers, please explain what this color spectrum is.
Okay, so this I'm gonna have to try and do a really good job of explaining it this time because I've tried so many times. Um, Having said that, it's not that difficult. So um, you've split this up into two columns, but if we can just imagine that the right-hand column goes below the left-hand column, and that Alex has just done that for ease of reference. So we start on the left hand with the left-hand column, but it's all one table. So what we have at the top is 3A, 2A, which is 3 away, 2 away, and it's in red. What that means is that for any given non-gammonish position that you have, that the score that will be most active or produce the highest equity will be 3 away, 2 away. So, in other words, if you um, take the position and you're at the start of a match and your opponent doubles you and you take, and then after the match you open it up on XG and it says it was a take, and you're like, oh, good, okay. But then if you were to take that same position and change the score and just for your own interest, what would the right cube action be um, if uh, if the cuber, so it would be your opponent, if your opponent was 3 away and you were 2 away. So this is from the perspective of the person doubling. If your opponent was 3 away, 2 away, what difference would it make? And you would find that the position might well be a pass. But more specifically, you would find that the number that XG comes out with, it comes out with this number plus 0.95, will be higher at 3 away, 2 away. And not only that, it will be at the highest it can be in non-gammonish positions.
That's a great
Did
explanation. Yeah,
did that make yeah
it makes sense, and I think
easier to take to have a if we had a position maybe on
yeah,
this slide,
we will see that on
then
the next one. So basically, what I get out of it is everything is basically compared to seven away, or money here. And so it's going to be a stronger double, three away, two away, and that's the strongest double, and then less strong as you go down the list.
yeah,
Okay, so let's take a look at a non-gammonish position. So this one, let me just introduce it here. This is actually on a beautiful Backgammon Galaxy Void board with the Casio inlay. I selected this one because I know you like to play on this board a lot. The XG board is made by Rain. He makes beautiful XG boards. There's a link in the description to where you can get them. So the scores are shown at the upper right and lower right, and they're indicated in away score. So this is seven away for the purposes of this. And orange,
right,
yeah, so you're playing the orange checkers at the bottom, the opponent, the turquoise blue at the top, bearing off on the right. And the dice are here indicating that it's orange's roll. And blue has a 20-point holding game, and you're basically trying to bring everything home. The only remaining contact is here on the midpoint and these outfield checkers, and you have your bar point, but at the same time, blue has a decent position on the other side, but you're up by 20 pips. So when you're thinking about this, how do you think about the doubling decision starting from seven away, and then adjusting it to other scores?
right. So the book really won't help you know that this is a double or a I think it's a small take, I believe. I can't remember. You did send me, I mean, you sent me um these slides in advance, but I didn't learn, but I believe it is a take. But like I said, the book's not there to help people decide when a holding game is a take or a pass in a money game, which is equivalent to seven away, seven away. You have to know you have to know that in advance. What the book will do is um, once you've decided or you know what the correct cube action is at seven away, it will give you a thorough way of adjusting for every single score in a non-gammonish position, which this is. So, assuming that I think this is a take, and I'm going to be quite sort of try and be precise, assume that I think that after doubling, my equity goes up to about 0.96. Um, that means that from my opponent's perspective, if he takes, he's losing less, a little bit less than one. So it's slightly more profitable for him to take. So therefore, it would be a double and take. Now, if we when we looked back at the previous slide, we saw that seven away was the at the bottom of the table. That means it's the least active score. So when we click on the XG analysis from this position we've just seen and see that it's a double take and that it's okay 0.923, then what we should know is that at any other score that's above that's in the spectrum, as in any other more active score, then that double take equity, if you want to point to that, will go up for me as orange. And what if it goes up to one? It means it's going to become a pass. So the cube action is dependent on the match score, even in non-gammonish positions. Now, a lot of people broadly know this, but what the book does is that it neatly categorizes all the scores, and there are a few scores that are a little bit surprising and that people might not be aware of, especially for non-gammonish positions.
Okay. So let's take a look at the equities at the different scores. So this diagram shows all the different scores that are in the spectrum. So this is the away score, of course, 3 away, 2 away. And
So if you, sorry
yeah,
to interrupt, if you hover your mouse over the 7 away, 7 away, which is where we were, so what that score, 0.923, that was the score that we saw on the previous slide in the analysis.
right here.
Right. So that's why you've put 0.923 in that brown box, right? Because that's what XG says my equity as the doubler is. So without fear of repeating myself, if I'm up to 0.923, I'm in a really good position. I'm almost winning the game, but not quite. Go on. I just wanted to
So that's fine. So now
emphasize that.
looking at this, so that's the baseline, and then you look, these numbers almost go up incrementally as you get to the top. So
They seem to, don't they?
yes, sir.
They do. So they're going up, and at the very top, this red, red is like the color of fire, or I don't know. Red is an obvious alarm bell color. The equity is 1.18. So if we double our opponent, they should pass because we're winning more than a point, and they can pass just and give away only a point. But look at the difference between the equities, Alex. 7 away, 7 away is 0.92. What do you get if you take away 1.18, if you subtract 0.92 from 1.18? I don't
200
know.
here, so millipoints.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Approximately
I
point
can't hear you.
point
Why
two
did you
six or so.
0.26? What in for backgammon nerds, is that not quite a high? People see like they make a blunder and it's 0.26. That's a big wodge of blunder, right?
It's very big.
It's very big. If it's not big, then the book's not worth reading. So it's very big.
So basically,
Um,
what it means is you're going to make a very big error by taking this position at this score, but not at 7 away, 7 away.
right. And then, you could pick a score to concentrate on if you want, and we can try and talk about it. Because it's not just, the book isn't just a list of all these colors and scores. It talks about why the scores, the match scores, produce different activity, as in different equities. It talks about why 3 away, 2 away is a pass. So if you could pick a score, maybe don't pick 3 away, 2 away, because I think that's one of the more well-known.
Right.
Maybe.
I would pick 3 away, 3 away because that's a common score where,
Okay,
think
that's a
about
really
double.
difficult one though. Yeah. Okay, so 3 away, 3 away. Um, I I always end up talking about what I don't want people to concentrate on first. I don't know why I do that, but I knew from a long time ago that 3 away, 3 away, if you plug in a match equity calculation, which is quite complicated, and I don't really do that in the book, then I, without distinguishing between dead cube and live cube at the moment, the take point is quite high. The live cube take point is 22%, but actually the take point will end up being quite a bit more than that in practice. When you have a position, though, at 7 away, 7 away, and for money, the take point is generally 22%, could be. So we're dealing with a score where the take point, what you need to take when you're cubed, is 3% higher, let's say. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but that's why if you're doubled at 3 away, it's not worth you taking that much of a risk, and that therefore, even in a non-gammonish position, it's better for you just to give up the game and let your opponent go to 2 away and you be 3 away.
Rather than going to the Crawford game, which is a big game.
Which is a big gain. So that's one of the reasons, maybe the most prominent reason why at that score, 3 away, the doubler gets a lot of value from winning at the extra point, as in winning two rather than one. And conversely, the person that has to decide whether to double or take would risk quite a lot in trying to carry on the game and win 2 points instead of just give up one, because in that process, if he loses the game, he's allowing the person who doubled to go to Crawford.
Right. So yeah, that makes me think about like valuable scores and other things are like the value of owning the cube. For example, in a money game, if you accept the double and you own a two cube, you could always later redouble to four and potentially win 4 points or perhaps more with the gammon or backgammon. But when you're at three away and you redouble to four, you can never win 4 points. You can only win 3 points. So you lose that value of owning the cube as compared to money or seven away, seven away.
Right, right. And what we will find is that these spectrums, if you weigh up all the factors, you will see a pattern emerges. So that the second score here, the most active is 3 away, 3 away. But of course, that doesn't mean that you're going to double someone if you're 3 away, 6 away. Well, why? Well, you could say, well, but I still want to get to Crawford, but that's not the calculation that you're doing. You're weighing up, beautiful. You're weighing up the value of the points to you as opposed or compared to the value of the points to your opponent. That is the trade-off that you're always looking into. And if we look specifically in non-gammonish positions and try and think of when the points are more valuable to us than to our opponent, then we will start to understand why these numbers are higher at 7 away, 3 away than they are at 7 away, 2 away.
Right, right. So that's great. And here in the next slide, basically plotted it in a slightly different way, similar to a match equity table. So not all the scores were there. So some of them are white, but you can see like at the three-away scores, for example, you saw it 3-away, 2-away, it's red. At 3-away, 3-away, it's purple. And at 3-away, 4-away, it's yellow. It kind of goes in that. And that kind of tells me about the ownership of the cube. For example, at 3-away, 2-away, the player at 2-away taking a cube has no value of owning the cube because it's a dead cube. At 3-away, 3-away, there is value, but it's less. But at 3-away, 4-away, the 4-away player can win 4 points on a four cube, so it's more valuable. That's why it's going
Yeah.
down in numbers and the color.
Same pattern in orange, Alex. Same pattern, very, very minimal, tiny. So you have a higher equity at no, in fact, it's the opposite. It's the opposite pattern.
Which one?
And I have to admit, in the 4-away, when the doubler is 4-away, the opposite pattern is in evidence. Although the numbers are very, very similar.
They're very close, so it's not.
So it's not a huge difference. I don't actually know the reason. So there's a lot that I haven't found out yet. I mean, it's not it's super precise system, but it's certainly something, and it's the start of a pattern which appears to emerge. I just want to. Can you ask me why are there white boxes? Why have you not?
Right. So when you did the
What?
spectrum, why is it that some of them are not on there?
Well, why? Can I ask you? I mean, why?
So I think the focus of the book is a spectrum of what you call activity or how aggressive you need to be to double as compared to seven away, seven away. So if seven away is the baseline and everything else is above that, we're looking at those scores. But at the other scores, I guess they're gray in the book. So I put them white. So they're not
Wonderful.
as active, right?
Very good explanation. Exactly that. All those scores in white are less active than the benchmark seven away, seven away. So if you were to put the equities in, which you could do, they would be lower than 0.923, going
Right.
all the way down to probably five away, two away, which might give you the lowest. Well, excluding two away, what would the equity be at two away, two away? I can't think. It would be high, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
when it's higher at two away.
the take points like super high. Yeah, so it would be really high. So the lowest equity might be the fourth yeah, the first column, fourth row down. That might be like 0.7 or something.
Right. Okay, so well, let's move on to the from the non-gammonish positions to the gammonish positions. In the interest of time, we'll go a little bit faster, but this is the spectrum for gammonish positions. So I want to give you an
Right.
opportunity to talk about this one.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I kind of taken our time. So just to same things going on here. Four away, two away is the most active score, and the least active is the benchmark seven away, which is very similar to money. But what we look at here, just to point out a couple of things. Um, let's take I don't know, one of my favorites, like seven away, five away. So if we're at seven away, five away, we're in green. So we know that we're two colors down from, say, six away, two away. But we're still above three away, three away. So actually, we should be more um, willing to cube when we're 2-0 down than if we're 4 all. So we'll be 2-0 down if we're seven away, five away, but we'll be at 4-4 if we're three away, three away. And so every time you're playing that you went to it will take a while. You'll start like to remember more and more scores from this spectrum. And then you might remember like if we go to brown, that if you're four away, six away, well, you don't have to guess anymore. You just remember that it's basically the same as seven away, seven away. So if you were going to double the position at seven away, you would double it at four away, six away. If you were going to take it at seven away, you would double it. You would take it if you were six away and your opponent was four away. So I just want to clarify one thing. What might be, I don't want to say, well, it could be a little bit confusing. So we always do the number of the person doubling first, but you can consider it from the other way around, right? So we could, when you do the Backgammon with Grandmaster series, and one player has to be on the bottom, right? Because you can't flip the board and you can't turn your head, like do a 180. So, but when it's the person on the top's decision, they're still looking at it from the same perspective. Their score will be first. They're looking at their away score. So you can, when you're looking at a match, you can still consider it from your opponent's point of view, but always their score will be their away score will be first, and yours will be second then.
Correct. Now, sometimes when I see people discuss positions, so they'll look at a cube decision and it's at some random score. For example. Uh, Sometimes they think about it, okay, what would I do for money or what would I do at seven away, seven away? And then they look at the score and they determine do they need to be more aggressive or less aggressive by looking at something like this sort of spectrum. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that's exactly what this does. But I found that just to say should I be more or less aggressive um, isn't wide ranging enough. So you need to know, you don't need to know all of these scores. I think there are 19, but you can know like 6 or 7 of them rather than just um, 3. So people will probably know the top 3: 4 away, 2 away, 4 away, 3 away, 3 away, 2 away. But you can start to add like another 3. Why not? Um, but yeah, going back to your question, it is about it's not aggression, but it's akin to that. Yeah, it's about the more the more the further up you go in this activity spectrum, the more active the score is. The score produces the activity. I wouldn't say I look at it in terms of aggression, but it amounts to the same thing. But the score is what generates the activity.
Okay, and then looking at it, okay, so let's look at this
Okay,
table.
gammonish position, right?
This is the gammonish position. So tell us about this. Is like
So
a 5-4 split, then a double five, then a fan.
then 5, yeah, then a fan, right? Right. No checker came in, right? Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, just to clarify, so we did the non-gammonish position, and we looked at the difference that the in the cube action because of at certain scores, and now we're doing this for the gammonish position. So if we were playing our 7 point match on Backgammon Galaxy and we got this position, I would encourage people to say, first of all, before they do anything, what type of position is this? And so we immediately identify that this is a gammonish position. I think that's adequate enough. It is, there's a checker on the bar. Orange has got made a 3 point board, threatening to attack the other one. And so again, the position itself, you're not going to, the book doesn't tell you what the cube action is at 7 away, 7 away. You have to know that. But what it does do is that if you do know that at 7 away, 7 away, this is see, in my book, I think I have the checker on the 4 point instead of the 5 point.
Right,
And
right,
I
right.
think I think that position is worth, I can't remember, to be honest, 0.66 or something. So this is going to be worth 0.73 points. I don't know. So it's still going to be a fairly comfortable take. I just want to slot in here, hopefully, if people are still engaged, that what I talk about in the book, it's very interesting that gammonish positions are actually worth less than non-gammonish positions. So when I say that this position, we're going to look at the analysis after double take, the computer says it's worth zero point 0.7. In a non-gammonish position, I don't know if you remember. Okay, it's worth less. Kind of way off. Okay.
639, yeah.
Okay. Do we remember what the value
Yeah,
of
we
the
can look at
non-gammonish
that.
position was? And I feel very strongly that it's going to be higher,
It
way
is
higher
higher.
than point. What
And
does that mean? It's
the winning
very
percentage,
significant.
right? The winning percentage.
That's why it's going to be lower here and higher there. What does that mean? It means you want to be in a non-gammonish position. You want to get your checkers out. That's how you're going to get value in the position. If you could scoot back to that slide,
Here.
923. That's enormous.
And 76%.
So what I found valuable for myself is just hammering it home that it's not that good to be in. I mean, this is an early game position. Like these are the winning chances are quite low, and you will get gammonish positions that are worth more. But generally, you'll find it'd be difficult to get um, a, an equivalent gammonish position that's worth as much as that holding game position. Why? Because you've still got checkers back. Um, if you don't successfully execute your game plan, which will usually, well, half the time result in a gammon, then you're going to you're going to end up losing the game much, much more than in a non-gammonish position.
The gammonish positions are more volatile.
Right, right. But we're used to like thinking, yeah, I want a gammonish position, but actually the reverse is true. I hope that's a an accurate statement. Anyway, this at seven away is just a small double and a small take. But if we go up the activity spectrum and go up to scores that are more active than seven away, we'll find that the oh, here we are. I mean, it's insane. Look at four away, two away.
Right. The
I
difference
mean,
here is big. I remember it was like about 200 something millipoints. This is almost a full point.
no, it's a full point. Like let's just give it the full point. It's not quite, but yeah. And I don't think people realize that I think they might guess like 1.4. Even very, very top players might say, oh, it's like 1.5. It's a little bit higher than people would think. What the obviously it is dependent on the exact position, but we get to look at the differences that the score creates. And so in the chapter where I deal with purple scores, we see that there's a huge difference. So the best that we can say is if we have a position that we know is a fairly big pass at four away, two away, not a pass of this magnitude, but let's say we somehow know that it will be worth 1.3, then we might well be able to take at four away, three away.
Right. There's a big
Um,
difference. Almost
yeah,
300 millipoints difference.
right. And so, and then if you look down the table, you can start to compare certain the equities at different scores. So if you were doubling, you were at seven away, four away. So that means you're zero, your opponent's three. It's active. Why? Because you're trailing. You want to close the gap. Then if you double, the position's only worth 0.828. Now, just for completeness, I haven't put in, there's only one number. It doesn't say whether it's a double, right? Why not? Well, because they're all doubles. And I say that in the book. We know that seven away is a double. Once you make the position more active, it's always going to be a double until maybe you get to a position that's even stronger than this, and the position might become too good. But none of the positions in the book are strong enough to make it too good.
Very good. So let's take a look at it on this type of diagram. Some people are familiar with the match equity table. So, one of the things I've noticed is like at the four-away score, a gammon on a two cube is very valuable, and you can see it's more valuable the closer the opponent is to winning the match. For example, four-away, two-away, it's the strongest because not only is it a dead cube, but that double gammon wins you the match perfectly. At four away, three away, it's not as strong because the opponent may at some point redouble. And at four away, it's a little bit less because that redouble wins him the match perfectly and so forth.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing. At four away, you're not trailing. That's a huge factor. If
Right.
trailing and leading was not a factor, then four away would be way up the activity spectrum because the activity that generate the activity generated at four away is all because of the doubled gammon. So
And that's one thing you were alluding to in terms of match winning efficiency. If you are four away, you need exactly 4 points, and getting those exactly 4 points without additional overage or superfluous points is very efficient.
yeah, yeah, and but as you say that, but we see that there are plenty of scores that are more active than four away. One, two, three, four, five, six. I'm counting six. So in this particular position, four away is in seventh place. If you were to have a gammonish position that wasn't quite as gammonish as this, you would find that that number for four away would start shrinking because obviously the value of the four away is all about how many gammons you win. It's the gammons that are very valuable. And same for four away, five away. it's quite high. But as soon as you snip out the gammons, you make it. If you were to move the checker on the 5 point to the 4 point, then that number would shrink in comparison to the. Well, you can't do it. You'd have to do it for every single score and show that four away, five away would slip down the table a little bit.
And that's actually one of the positions in the book.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just glaze out. I can't remember. I've looked at them so many times.
I know it's hard to keep track, but the reason why I selected this one was because we wanted to select a different one than what was in the book so people can read the
Yeah,
book.
I wanted to look at a new, but yeah, yeah. I tend to keep picking the same positions. That's the problem. Not imaginative enough.
All right. So great. That was a fantastic overview. I think, I learned a lot just by going through that with you. And I think if the viewers want to learn this and much more, highly recommend getting the book. So the book is released. It's available now. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I hopefully you'll leave the the URL link to my website where people can just buy it.
I will. So that will be in the description so they can just click on that. And
But I can understand if people want to buy it on Amazon as well, which it where it is also now available. But as we know as authors that it's much more beneficial to for the author to sell it personally than to sell it on Amazon, who take almost 50%.
they take a good amount. So I'll put in
Yeah,
links, either one that you like. So that was great. I think that was a great overview of the book, and that was the primary focus of this video. But I wanted to also take this opportunity to allow you to discuss other things, such as your fantastic YouTube channel. So this is your YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description to this. I highly recommend people that enjoy backgammon to subscribe to this because you have a lot of videos. I won't go through all of them because people can go look at them, but these were some of the recent ones where you discuss the book. And then the things I feel like you do most frequently are the lives, which are fantastic.
yeah. So I'm not a good like self promoter. I tend to like tell people not to watch, but and steer well clear. But actually, I'm thinking that people would do well just to watch you see those live streams with the rocket. That's me playing 7 point matches. If
Right?
you want to improve 7 point matches, you should watch those because you'll learn a lot.
Absolutely. And also, this is your website. So on your website, you have the 7 point match so they can click on it here and buy it there. But you also give lessons, and there's also more information on the website.
Yeah,
So they can book a lesson with you. And
yeah,
I highly recommend it if people want to improve. You're one of the best players in the world, and your feedback and your education is very valuable for everyone. So that was that. This has also links to your YouTube channel and so forth.
yeah. I think it's just to one video. Yeah,
Good. And the final thing I want to discuss in this video is recently, I guess it's been a couple months now, you were very successful at the Nordic Open, which is one of the most prestigious tournaments. Tell us about that experience, please.
yeah. So I got lucky. It's the first time that I won. So I won six matches in a row in the main division, and obviously I was lucky, and I was playing well for sure, but it was a confidence boost because it's the first time that I'd won so many long matches. So the matches are 17 points, and I could feel that I was, with the exception maybe of Oliver, that I was better than my. Oh no, that's not true. And Carlo as well, Carlo Melzi. But I felt apart from Carlo that I felt that I could win. And even in the final where I lost, I think that was just I don't really put that down to any sort of lack of skill. So I guess what I'm talking about is not it's not so much about PR. It's just about a feeling of when you kind of get good enough, you know what to do. And so I felt that at the Nordic. Um, yeah, even though I lost in the final, the disappointing thing was there were only 44 entries. Um, so yeah, I don't know what happened really with the popularity, but when I first played the Nordic, it was the tournament. I remember in 2012 I played falafel in the third round. Yeah, it was just the tournament to be at. Everyone was there.
So hopefully it'll get bigger like it was, but it's certainly a tremendous accomplishment because
Yeah,
yeah, you have to be lucky to win, but when the matches are longer, skill is more important, and you played against a lot of top opponents, and it was really a pleasure to watch you get there to the finals against a compatriot, another good friend and top player, Oliver. It was just a pleasure to watch, and it's like these are kind of like once in a lifetime things, but your success shows that, if you're a good player, you can get to these places. So congratulations.
yeah. You just have to make sure that you go to about six tournaments at least. So then you'll do well in one of them. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, in a year, six. Like if you do six a year, you're probably if you're playing about like three and a half or something, then you'll probably get to the final in one.
Nowadays there are so many tournaments.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
right. Yeah.
wonderful. Okay, well, congratulations on that, and of course
Thank you.
on publishing the book. Very happy for you. Very excited about another book in the backgammon literature. I'm sure the viewers will really enjoy this book, so I highly recommend it. There will be links in the description to where viewers can get the book. Do you have any final comments before we conclude the video, Simon?
No, but other than thanks everyone for watching, and if you buy it, then I hope you like it.
I'm sure they will. Thank you very much again to my good friend Simon Barget, top grandmaster from the UK and new author of Backgammon, the 7 Point Match. We'll go ahead and conclude the video. Thank you to the viewers for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, what you'd like to see in future videos, and I'll work on it. Again, if you love backgammon, you can become a member of this channel, giving you exclusive access to the most popular videos. My book, Backgammon Backgame Strategies, is available. There's a link in the description to where you can get it, and I'll also place links where you can get Simon's books. If you're interested in lessons, you can contact Simon on his website, or you can send me an email. My email address is also in the description. I look forward to seeing you in future videos, and until then, keep rolling your dice.